Senior X30 is the next category to make their way out into the circuit. The oldest group of drivers, 14 years plus and 158 kilograms of kart and driver. The MG tyres again being used for this category, but it's the softer compound. They get their 2 sets throughout. Panther again providing the fuel for the weekend, and of course the engines being the X30 125cc's, 123cc, and of course the 30 brake horsepower and 19.5 Newton meters of torque. With record entries for this year's Miami Winter Cup, the senior category saw the biggest grids with over 100 drivers doing battle. Both Friday and Saturday were action-packed for the class, with qualifying and heats at the end of play. On Friday, Dmitry Matveev, though, would end qualifying on pole. Saturday saw a staggering 12 qualifying heats across a hectic day in the Spanish sunshine, with Ean Eyckmans being the most successful, following by Ruben Moya, Andy Ratel and Daniel Macia. With the Superheats looming on Sunday, tyres became the main focus once again in this category, with the field chopping and changing, and we saw some big names at the back of the grid. But the names that found themselves at the front, Ean Eyckmans, Ruben Moya and Andy Ratel, would be starting on the front 2 rows in this final. Stay tuned, stay with us.
Welcome back to Valencia and the Kartodromo International Lucas Guerrero. We've had 2 fantastic races, the finals of the mini and the junior category. But there's one last cherry of the cake, the third and last final of the day to kickstart the international IMA season. The IMA Winter Cup and the X30 Senior final underway in just under 3 minutes under the sunlight of the Valencian region. The man on your picture beside me is Ean Eyckmans from Belgium. He will be starting from pole position from the EGP Racing Team. 3 victories in the qualifying heats were sufficient, as well as a second place in this morning's Superheat, to grant him pole position, clear from the threat that will come from the front row in Ruben Moya, one of the strongest Spanish drivers that you have onto the track. Standard bearer of the Pantano Racing Team, new chassis that has now been progressing through the ranks of international karting, with one good shot at victory this Sunday at Valencia. Ean Eyckmans, Ruben Moya, this is going to be a fantastic showdown and a good gesture of fair play between 2 of the strongest protagonists that we've had this weekend. Ean Eyckmans, his first ever appearance in X30 Senior at this level. Ruben Moya, of course, that we've seen competing into those classes for the past few years with great success. Then we have on row number 2 Andy Ratel from KBK Racing Team, with the beautiful colors of the Alonso kart chassis. He will be starting from P3 on the grid on the inside line. A good weekend so far for Andy Ratel, a bit of up and down results in the qualifying heat, but he made that up with a P4 in this morning's Superheat, and he will be one of the strongest names up there. By his side, watch out for Daniel Macia, another strong Spaniard in the top 4 on the outside, representing AC Motorsport this weekend. Daniel Macia, that has been building up as well through the qualifying heats to be one of the top contenders of the senior class, with drivers from 14 years of age here in Valencia. More than 100 competitors, the highest entry list that we've ever had for the Winter Cup, all class mixed. Eloy Gonzalez from Monlo Motorsport Competition will be starting from P5 on the grid, row number 3. A contender to keep an eye on, definitely so. As after a P20 in the qualifying heat classification, he was 11 this morning in the Superheat. So progress is there, and he will be certainly keen on finishing Valencia this weekend on a high. By his side, Evan Giltaire, Gigi, the IMA World Final winner of last season. What a tough contenders from France, on his way to F4, but not without one last fantastic performance in the Winter Cup. Let's go racing!
Thank you very much, Graham. Yes, indeed, the race about to get underway, and you can see the grid there lined, ready to go. The 1 minute board went out about 40 seconds ago, so I suspect we're going to get the whistle blown, and we're going to get this race underway. Senior X30, the final race of the weekend here. Who is going to be the last driver to take home the grand prize of €1,000 for coming in first? It is Senior X30, the final. 36 drivers once again out of over 100 drivers who entered into this weekend. We whittle it down to 36 in the senior category alone. Let's have a look then at the starting lineup. It is Ean Eyckmans, who starts on pole position with Ruben Moya alongside. Expect Moya to have the fresh set of compound tyres. Andy Ratel and Daniel Macia, they go from the second row with Eloy Gonzalez and Evan Giltaire. Also, I reckon, running the soft compact, also running a fresh set of tyres. They go from row 3. Aaron Garcia and Q1 Pu go from row 4 with Eli Goldstein and Malo Ballet, who round out the top 10. Clement Outran and Paul Chas run from row 6 with Brandon Carr and Riccardo Girelli going from row 7. Santi Valvi and Sam Balota, they go from row 8 with Urbeltz Moar and Gabriel Stilp rounding out the top 9 rows. Dmitry Matveev and Teresa Babichkova start on row 10 in 19th and 20th with Yuta Suzuki and Peter Stiller going from row 11. Marcus Luzio and Ruben Volt, they go from row 12 with Francisco Macedo and Natalia Granada rounding out the top 13 rows. Otto Pukkanen, the Finnish driver, starts alongside the Bart Harrison and the 277 in row 14 with Lushka Flusha and Julian Kamen rounding out the top 30 on row 15. Lewis Bird and Len Nice go from row 16 with Sita Van Mert and Kalai Atkins on the 17th row. Jules Caranta and Leviwi Sambudla round out the grid of 36 karts on row 18. The sun shines. It's nice, calm weather out there, but the track action is not calm at all. It's fierce, it's fun, and it's about to get going. I couldn't try to think of better words there, but I failed miserably. Guillem Alvarez back in the commentary box with me. I'm very much looking forward to this one. We've had a fantastic weekend, and it all boils down to the last race right here, right now.
The tensions have been building up, that's for sure, ever since we got here, and the drivers have been competing and practicing ever since Wednesday, all the way down to the qualifying heat, super heat, and the finals. And this is the biggest of them all, the X30 Senior class, with some of the best kart racing drivers all around Europe competing in the IMA classes, some of the best teams as well. Everybody is represented in what has been the top entry list ever in the history of the IMA Winter Cup since 2016. So another proof of the great success of the competition over the past few years. There were more than 100 starting in senior, but only 36 of them on this very grid. And this will be difficult, certainly. I couldn't pick one driver to finish on the top. There's so many with a good shot at the victory.
Yes, there are indeed. Into the tram lines we go. Green flag goes out and into turn 1. Great start from the Belgian driver hugging the inside line. Ean Eyckmans maintains the lead, but the outside line gets swamped as they all try to file their way through. 3 wide in the background, but everyone getting through the first few corners unscathed, but not at turn 3 as 3 karts take to the dirt and come back onto the track. Not sure who they were, but everyone still running in this race, but so far, so good. Ean Eyckmans doesn't lead the way. Who's that's in the lead now? Is that Andy Ratel? It is. The Frenchman leads the way in the early stages as more dust gets kicked up and 2 karts off. That looks like Natalia Granada is one of them as well. And who is the other driver that's off the track? It was the 231 that's gone off the track.
We have missed Santi Valve by the look of it, and now Ruben Volt as well. We're in trouble. These other drivers went cross-country, cutting the chicane, but Granada was one of them as well involved in that incident, and you'll get to see on stream. Here we go, the first of 20 laps. Eli Goldstein, a good exit on the left side of your picture. He's going to try to go ahead, yes indeed, on the turn number 1. And look at those battles happening throughout the mix of the field. You can feel that this is a final because the 3 drivers cutting the chicane actually managed to stay on course and get back onto the track. That's something that you've never seen before into the qualifying heats, but they managed to keep control of the machine while going cross-country, so hats off to them. And we still have everybody, I think, in the field as it stands. A couple of drivers into trouble, but Andy Ratel had a beautiful getaway. He was second outside of turn number 1, and Ean Eyckmans in the meantime lost another position to Eloy Gonzalez. We were telling you about how good the Spanish drivers were on Omsol, and another driver in trouble. I think that might be to catch the number, to be honest. Let's see who that is in a minute, but another driver in trouble. I might have seen that Marcus Luzio was one of the drivers as well, going cross-country. Watch out, another switch on Andy Ratel. Ean Eyckmans launches attack, diving through on the inside line of turn number 1, and we seem to have lost Riccardo Girelli.
And Brandon Carr, it was the Brit Brandon Carr who were doing a sterling job earlier on in the Superheats. Unfortunately now, out of the final. The Brit will be unhappy with that one. But the action rages on here in Senior X30. We're on lap 3, and the pack is in the mid-pack here. So as they go through into turns 10 and 11 here, you can see there the 281 getting involved. For position, Daniel Macia, he's got Aaron Garcia for company, but he's got more company here as Q1 Pu has gone through. The Chinese driver now up into P7 as they go through there. Ellie Goldstein, now we're back further up. Now this is the battle for the lead here, I think it is. What happened to Ratel? So down into the chicane they went. Gonzalez went through. And then here, Ean Eyckmans went through at turn 1. But where did Ratel go? Because Ratel is now in about 5th place. Yes, on screen. Ratel down into 5th place. Interesting development. So, Evan Giltaire in the 204 now up into 3rd place. Well, I said 3rd place. Not anymore, because Ellie Goldstein in the 201 comes through and now takes 3rd place in front of Giltaire, and Giltaire now will probably now work together with Goldstein. Not if Andy Ratel's got anything to say about it. Ratel goes through. So chopping and changing all the meanwhile. They're losing touch with the group in front.
And we seem to have lost as well Bart Harrison, the 277 from Britain, and that's quite a shame because Bart Harrison, there you can see him, is a 2-time Winter Cup winner in the junior category, trying his bit in the senior class this year, and quite an unfortunate turn of event, having to retire in the final. Back with the lead, Ean Eyckmans behind Gonzalez. Hello, Gonzalez gonna give everything that he has to defend his position. Eyckmans is now back in the position of the chaser. He has a good pace, but so does Andy Ratel. And look at Ellie Goldstein going aggressive on the curb. Evan Giltaire trying to take his shadow as well. Under the pressure of Aaron Garcia. Ruben Moya, where did he disappear, Ruben Moya? He was starting from 2nd in the grid all the way down to P10 behind Yang Puchu. And I was talking to him on the grid, you know, before we got started with the presentation, as we see what happened into the opening few corners of the race. You could see the drivers look at that going into a Dakar mode as they were able to keep control of the machine. And we came close here with the retirement of another driver, being Bart Harrison, joining Brandon Carr, who had to put himself on the sideline as well. But talking about the Goldstein and Giltaire, as Aaron Garcia coming across the chicane here is going to be put under pressure by Paul Cheos. 2 drivers under the same team, MDC, watch out not to do anything, and Wise, and Ruben Moya takes advantage of the battle and goes through for P9.
Yeah, Ruben Moya so far not had the best start to this race. Of course, he started on the front row in P2, but like we say, that outside line can play havoc. It's the end of the weekend. The side of the track's covered in marbles. It's covered in dust. So if you're on that outside line and you try and swing it around the outside, you're more than likely going to lose places than gain them, and I think that's what's happened in this one here. As he tries to go down the inside there, he does manage to get past Paul Chaos and gets that sorted out. He's all fine. He moves up another place now into P7, respectively on track. Back here at the front though, Eloy Gonzalez still leading the way. Eyckmans though is still in touch. If we look at the 2 drivers' weekend so far, you would definitely put your money on Eyckmans because he's had the lowest amount of scores. He's had the most wins. He's had the most best results out there. He had the lowest score going into this one, a grand total of 2 points. No, that's a lie. 7 points as he went in. Eloy Gonzalez scored quite a few. He scored 20 points in the qualifying heats and 11 points in the Superheat, meaning he finished P11. So, you know, he's definitely a driver who's not had as good of a day, but right now he's leading this race and he's showing exactly what he's got.
Let's not forget that Ean Eyckmans, unlike some of his closest rivals in the battle for the final victory, didn't have as much as much to give to his tires. He didn't have as many places to recover as some of his closest rivals. Here's what happened in the chicane. Once again, you could see on the right side Aaron Garcia being forced on the outside, or at least having to cut across the chicane, and Paul Cheos came just on his shadow, on his tail, but still stayed behind. He's P8 in Cheos at the moment. Aaron Garcia is tumbled down the order, and there's a switch for 2nd place. This is for the lead, my apologies. Ean Eyckmans in the lead once again. And as I was saying, Eyckmans didn't put maybe as much stress on his tires as the other drivers, having to recover from further back on the field. He won 3 out of his 5 qualifying heats. He did good in the qualifying heat this morning, and that's another demonstration. Andy Ratel is now going for P2. And that might be the start, or certainly not the scenario that Eloy Gonzalez had foreseen in his head is now in P3, and look who's coming back on his tail for the back, Eli Goldstein. We didn't speak of a great deal of Eli Goldstein so far because he was struggling through the middle of the pack after what had been a difficult qualifying. But having been lucky to commentate on his performances in the IAME Series Benelux for years now, as well as in the IAME Euro Series, this is typical of Eli Goldstein, shall I say, because sometimes you're like,
is it a problem for Goldstein? He's looking down at the engine there.
That's not normal.
It's not normal. There's the overtake for the race lead. Eyckmans just getting that move done on Gonzalez. But yeah, what's happened to Eli Goldstein?
Seems to be okay.
Seems to be okay, yeah, still there. Yeah, we're talking about Eli Goldstein. We're not speaking a lot about him, only because the fact that qualification 34th out of the 100 drivers, still good. 35 points in the qualifying heats and 16th in the super heat. Again, a driver who struggled all the way throughout this weekend, but now in P4 as Urbeltz Moar gets a warning flag. That's a disaster.
That's one of his strengths, actually, of Eli Goldstein. He's done that countless times in other races and in other series as well, because sometimes he can be struggling through the heats, giving the impression that he's a bit on the back foot, but he's waiting always for the biggest moment to really put everything together in terms of tire management. It's still, there's something wrong with his engine or something.
Do you know what? I think it's the chain guard. I think because you saw him there, how much force he put down in that area. You don't want to be putting your hands down there. A lot of moving parts. So I think it's the chain guard that's potentially rubbing up against something there, maybe causing a noise, and it's not to Eli Goldstein's liking. There he is, and as he goes through, and it's starting to get interesting now because Eyckmans tried to get back there at Gonzalez. And, no, actually, let's chop and change. Eyckmans is back down into third.
Yes, indeed, switch of position with Andy Ratel back in the lead halfway through the final of 20 laps here in Valencia. Andy Ratel from KBK Competition is back in the lead in front of Eloy Gonzalez. Eyckmans still has to do everything into this race, and that could go the way of Eli Goldstein if he finds a solution to his technical issues. But by the look of it, he's still very much in the race, the Belgian driver, as Evan Giltaire is leading the second bandwagon from P5 in front of Ruben Moya. Then we have Paul Cheos, Daniel Macia, Mario Boyer in P10 in front of Clement Outran, running up the top 10, one of the pole sitters in yesterday's, one of the fastest drivers, shall I say, in Friday's qualifying. He was in pole in the senior category, at least for a moment. One of the fastest in the series, but running up the top 10 as we speak in front of Urbeltz Moar, who had a great start to his weekend, but now struggling a little bit with positions. This is what happened, and the switch for position as Ean Eyckmans dropped the place from P2 to P3, and Eloy Gonzalez diving through as well. Andy Ratel still very much in the lead, but still a long way to go before the checkered flag. And we have right now 4 different drivers as Ruben Moya just made his move on Evan Giltaire for P6. And he was gesturing to the Frenchman, all right, let's stay with me, let's keep it together, because we still have a chance. If the 4 drivers in front of us get together or do something unwise, then we might have a shot at the podium.
Speaking of unwise things, I thought we were about to see one there as Eloy Gonzalez tried to do a very late move there through turn 1. He thought against it, so smart driving there, stays behind in P2. On Andy Ratel, so Ratel still leading the way, and Eyckmans still there. Yeah, like you're saying, I reckon we're going to have a 6-cut battle for the race lead here in a few laps, because we are more than half race distance now, so there is time is quickly running out here, and I suspect all of these drivers are wanting to just get on with it. Let's just go for the overtake, stop sitting behind, stop wasting time, let's just get this race done. And at this moment, Andy Ratel doing a fantastic job and the lead of this. Where did he start? Started in third of this race on the second row. He's come forward 2 places. Did drop back in the early stages as they all concertina up through the final chicane they go. Keep an eye on that gap because it is closing. Goldstein and Moya are closing. Moya now in front of it as down the inside there goes Eyckmans on Gonzalez, and Ratel goes through to the back of this trio now. So Ratel down into third. Gonzalez and Eyckmans through then into first. Oh no, I thought there was a problem, and he's pulled off to the side. Ratel goes back through to second, but Eli Goldstein off the track and out of this final.
Such a disaster. We saw him clipping the curb quite aggressively. That might be the reason the chain maybe went loose. That's what he was working on. We need to have a confirmation about that. But as a result, Evan Giltaire was running P4 with a good shot at even better than that. He's going to have to retire from this year's Winter Cup. His first for the TB Kart Racing Team.
An absolute disaster then for the Belgian driver, who looked good at potentially coming away with a podium, if not the win, in the Winter Cup in 2023. Eyes on, though, the group for the lead. It's Eloy Gonzalez for Spain who leads the way, from Andy Ratel, France, and Belgium's Ean Eyckmans, who's there in third place. At this moment in time, they battle through. We're on lap 14 at the moment of 20, and it is still a five-way battle for the lead as Ruben Moya comes into play now, gets past Ean Eyckmans now and moves up into P3. Again, the Spaniard doing a fantastic job here at Valencia, and who's that? It's Giltaire that's followed as well. So Evan Giltaire also in this battle. This is heating up to be quite a good race.
Yeah, guess who's back again. This is Ruben Moya after he tumbled down outside the top 10 pretty much, and now he makes his way back through. He's in P3 where he should have been all day long, you know, all race long, after getting into some trouble after a bad getaway. But talking to him on the grid, he told me that I told him, you know, muy suerte, good luck for the race. He said he was going to need it because the pre-final had been quite rough for Ruben Moya. So he was in need of a good race. He was in need of a bit of a luck. Didn't go his way in the first part of the race, but he seems to be in much better shape right now. But he's going to have to count onto Ean Eyckmans and Evan Giltaire to give him a hard time, and Andy Ratel as well going through for the lead, pushing a little bit. Eloy Gonzalez, the door is open and everybody goes through. Disaster for the Spanish driver. Gonzalez was leading and now finds himself all the way down in P5.
That just shows how close this racing is, and now Evan Giltaire finds himself back in third place, so this is brilliant stuff all the way through. So Ratel now with a lead from Moya, Giltaire, Eyckmans, Gonzalez, Belay still there in sixth place from Macia, Podcast, and now they change, and now Ruben Moya takes to the curb to avoid contact there and holds on to second place. Evan Giltaire still there, and a change for the lead as Ratel loses the place and goes down into P2. So Ratel now down in second place. Ruben Moya leads the way for Spain as they make their way round into the infield section now. Only a few more laps remain. This is heating up as the rest of the pack is now starting to close up. Keep an eye on Malo Belay, Daniel Macia, Paul Chaos and Clement Outran, who are all closing in on these drivers. But here at the race lead, it's still Moya who has got the very close coming over Ratel. So close that Ratel gets past as well. This is where Ratel made the move earlier on. This is where Ruben Moya followed as well. And Eloy Gonzalez just got swamped by the pack as Giltaire goes through and Eyckmans goes through. Back here as well, this was the move through the final chicane, and again I think it was just Giltaire trying to go for the move, but Moya avoiding the contact, and there down the inside, then taking the lead from Ratel, but Ratel went back in the lead and now he's lost the lead again and tries to dive down the inside, and there's almost contact between the two of them. Giltaire comes through and almost makes contact with Ratel as well, so now Moya back in the lead. This race is far from over as Moya is struggling here. He doesn't look like he's got the full potential of that car out of him, because you can see the carts are just backing up behind him here. Now Ratel's back down the inside. Now Moya's in a dangerous spot here. Giltaire goes through, or he's side by side with him now. Are they going to go through? Now there's several carts involved. We've got the top 8 battling for the race lead, and Moya's in all sorts of trouble here. Giltaire on the inside, he's got it covered, and is that Eloy Gonzalez back now into third place? It is. So the driver who dropped way down the order now back in contention.
Fantastic end of the race. We're going to have a couple of laps before checkered flag. Watch out. On the outside goes Giltaire. He's clipping the curb, crossing and taking the lead by crossing the chicane. What on earth happened? He had to, otherwise it would have been a disaster. He knows it, and I'm sure maybe he will let the others through, at least Ruben Moya, because he went on the outside and took the initiative. But otherwise it would have been an incident. So what's going through his mind? Ruben Moya in P2, Gonzalez in P3. But what a fantastic end of a race we're going to have. The checkered flag is getting near. Giltaire is in the lead. Let's watch that back, shall we? As he goes around the outside, there's nowhere to go as the door is shut, clipping the curb as Ruben Moya is taking the chicane, which something that Evan Giltaire doesn't do, because otherwise he would have been in the tires, and as a result is now in the lead.
Yeah, Ruben Moya there showing his frustration, saying, what was that? But now I think it's all chopped and changed again, because round the outside, the 215 of Malobale now falling back down the order of that, and under investigation is Evan Giltaire, the 204. And I can imagine Evan Giltaire is probably thinking, you saw his motion there as he went through, and that was Eloy Gonzalez trying to go down the inside of Moya. And
that was a good charge, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
He did try, but didn't go according to plan.
Yeah, it did not go to plan. So, Giltaire leads, but it's under investigation. So Moya's there, under attack from Eyckmans, and Eyckmans has got past. So Eyckmans now up into second place. Ratel still there in third. I think you've got to feel for Giltaire, because he felt like he couldn't make the corner, and then you saw his head movement. His head went down. It was just like, oh no, I've made a mistake there. And he looks behind us. He's a full groupers back down the inside. There goes Gonzalez on.
Clement Outran,
it was Outran. Yeah, it was Outran that has gone up now and backwards. And now he's going to have to fight fiercely for this one. Ratel now back in front of the trio here, and still Ruben Moya there in third place, then Eyckmans still in fourth. There's Giltaire, he crosses the line. We go on to the final lap, but remember, question mark. This is the battle for second though. Ratel's got it, and keep an eye on Moya, keep an eye on Eyckmans, because if he does get a 5-second time penalty, I'm not saying he's going to, but if he does, he's only 2 seconds clear, and it's now starting to kick off. Moya back up into second place. Ratel switches back and makes contact between the two of them. Eloy Gonzalez back. Evan Giltaire, no, it's not Giltaire, it's the 281 that's getting involved. It's Daniel Macia, yes indeed it is. He comes through as well. Who's going to take this one? I don't know for second.
Yeah, Macia is back. He's P3 at the moment, P2 potentially. Let's see about that. Ean Eyckmans is being pushed on the inside. 2 wheels on the grass side by side with Aaron Garcia as well. Putting in a mix. Mario Bollier, Paul Chios, Andy Ratel. Ratel, who lost a pile of position in the process, into the mix. These are the final corners. The last chicane, one last option as the checkered flag is waving for Evan Giltaire. We follow what's happening into the chicane. Giltaire celebrating already, and some of the MDC racing drivers trying to gain positions. Aaron Garcia P9 in front of Clement Outran, but in the end, he's the first one to cross the line. Evan Giltaire, winner of the 2023 IMA Winter Cup, a couple of months after his success in the IMA World Final, and a fantastic performance as well in the States in the SCUSA Super Nationals. That's another success for the Frenchman under his new color of the PB Kart here in Valencia. Moya second and Macia third.
What a final that was. To put it into context, the top 13 crossed the line, separated by, less than 10 seconds there at the end of that one. Incredible. Evan Giltaire standing in his kart as he goes through, undoubtedly happy with that result. But that question still remains. We didn't see anything come up during the race, but the only thing we saw was the under investigation. But the provisional classification results you see there on your screen. France's Evan Giltaire wins, clear by 4.1 seconds from Ruben Moya, Daniel Macia and Eloy Gonzalez. France followed by 3 Spaniards, followed by Malo Ballet, who finishes in P5, Ean Eyckmans, who rounds out the top 6. The favourite going into this one. He started on pole. He looked like he had the best weekend so far, but it could only do 6th fastest in the final. Andy Ratel finishing in P7, the driver who led for the majority of this race as well, not having the final he wanted from Paul Chaus. Aaron Garcia, his first IME World Winter Cup as a senior. He finishes in P9 from Clement Outran, finishing in the top 10. Urbeltz and Santivalve, Dmitry Matveev, Gabriel Stilp, Jules Caranta, 20 places gained for Jules Caranta, the young driver, finishing in P15. There is the Frenchman Evan Giltaire on your screen.
And we have in the rest of the classification Marcus Luzio P16, Kelly Atkins P17, followed in P18 by Teresa Bavitskova, Jan Puchu P19, P20 for Ruben Volt. Then we have Julian Carmen, Sam Balota, Stila Peter, Yuta Suzuki, Len Nace, Sita Van Meert, as well as Otto Pikkonen, Lewis Bird, Francesco Macedo P30, as well as Luca Fruscia, Natalia Granada, Lamdoué, Louis Samdula, and the 3 drivers having to retire in this final. Brandon Carr-Batterson and Elie Goldstein. Here's a look at the replay and the start with Ean Eyckmans from pole position, who had the best gate away outside of turn number 1. You could see that Andy Ratel, or some of the drivers, Ratel had a good getaway up into P2, but some of the drivers were pushed a little bit on the outside. Ratel up into second. Then you had a good start as well for Eloy Gonzalez in front of Giltaire. Goldstein as well into the mix as things started to heat up a little bit with 3 drivers fantastically keeping control of the car while going cross-country in order to avoid an incident. But Eloy Gonzalez managed himself up into second, other drivers into trouble and being forced to retire at some point. A few contacts during this final that has been quite clean in terms of battle, and battles have been countless, especially in the chicane where Andy Ratel took command before being taken away by Eloy Gonzalez. Then Ean Eyckmans fought back into turn number 1. Andy Ratel had nowhere to go. The door was too much open for the Belgian, who dived through for what was P2 at the time of the race. And then we had both Evan Giltaire and Elie Goldstein coming back into the mix. You could see the MDC driver Paul Cheos and Aaron Garcia in a bit of a trouble, while in the lead Eyckmans and Gonzalez keep on explaining each other, with the Belgian taking back the lead. Andy Ratel, that was a start of after taking the lead, a difficult end of the race for the Frenchman. He was being overtaken by Gonzalez, and then Eyckmans went for the move as well, and Goldstein was as well there, ready to go for the move before having to retire from the final. Ratel was still very much in the battle for the position still, as Ruben Moya made his comeback, getting ahead of Ean Eyckmans and Evan Giltaire. Then there was the move from Ratel that really lost everything into the later stages of this race. Gonzalez as well on the side, being a little bit pushed. Ruben Moya made his way through, taking with him Ean Eyckmans as well as Evan Giltaire. So many protagonists, so many battles. Ruben Moya, the start of difficulties, he had to go crossing the chicane. Something similar happened to Evan Giltaire in the end.
Yeah, just looking at that one, you saw the Ruben Moya incident there. The same with Evan Giltaire, you know, taking to that curb to essentially get the position because he ran out of track. Maybe Giltaire thought, you know, you did it, I can do it too, and you know, that's why he stuck with that move a little bit later on in the race. But you know, when it got to this stage of the race, who thought who was going to win? There was so much happening during this entire final that, you know, contact between drivers, Ratel, you know, making contact with Moya. Then this was the move here. Again, looked like a carbon copy of what Ruben Moya did earlier on in the race as well, but you can see the frustration there from Moya. Hand goes up. So as they cross the line, but that's where Evan Giltaire took the lead and maintained the lead for the rest of the race, managed to pull away from the rest of the pack, and then it all went well, it all went awry, didn't it? Behind so many drivers involved. It did indeed. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Moya battling with Ratel, then Eyckmans coming back into play as well as the rest of the field going through. Ratel again clouting the curbs as the 281 of Daniel Macia came into play as well. He dived it down the inside through turn 7 as well to try and get involved. Then Eyckman came swamped by the pack as Malo Ballet came involved. Paul Chaos, Aaron Garcia also involved. But your man here, the 204, Evan Giltaire, takes that one and he enjoys the victory moment there, standing up in the kart. Brilliant there. There is a look then at Parc Ferme and the karts that have just come in off the circuit.
First on the podium, on the 3rd place from France. Round of applause for Evan Giltaire. Bravo, Evan. Congratulations, Gigi. Evan Giltaire came first onto the line, but the decision was made and it will be finally P3. But the smiles are on, and Evan Giltaire must be proud of his performance. 2nd place from Spain. Please welcome Daniel Macia. Bravo, Daniel. Congratulations for Molo Competition's 2nd place on the podium. And finally, your winner of this year's IAME Winter Cup for the senior class from Spain as well. Please welcome Ruben Moya. Beautiful performance by the Pantano Racing Team. So please welcome his founder and representative, Mr. Giorgio Pantano. Congratulations, guys. Before we go to the trophies, the glory and the gifts, please have a listen to the national anthem of Spain. Congratulations, Ruben Moya, Daniel Macia, Evan Giltaire, your top 3 on the podium. Thank you very much, Mr. Guerrero, to Evan Giltaire. Well-deserved trophy for a beautiful performance, and what a battle that has been for Evan Giltaire and his new team for a new season as well that will take him to new horizons in motorsport. Second place finish and a well-deserved trophy as well for Daniel Macia. First driver from Spain on the podium on home soil. And a lot of supporters, a lot of cheering. Thank you very much indeed. And finally, please give out your best round of applause for Ruben Moya. And an even bigger round of applause for the man responsible for all this, Mr. Giorgio Pantano. Bravo to the Pantano Racing Team, a chassis that is proved already to be highly competitive, and another proof that we're going to have to take Pantano into account for the next races to come. Of course, a couple of gifts. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Guerrero. To the driver in third place, Evan Giltaire, with 250 euros, the entries and the driver package. A lot of gift for you, Evan, as well as another gift. That's 500 euros for Daniel Macia in second place, duly offered by RGMMC, the promoter of this event in the IAME Euro Series. And finally, Ruben Moya, you get to win 1,000 euros for your performance, along with the trophy and the entries for the entire IAME Euro Series Championship. Beautiful performance, thank you very much indeed. I think we're good with the tickets, so there's one thing remaining, and this is the champagne. So whenever you guys are ready, they bring out the bottle first, of course. Here they come, and Mr. Pantano is out of here already, afraid of champagne. But on my count, if you have the bottles, 3, 2, 1, go! I had my own shower. Thank you very much for that. But that's meant for you guys. You guys are the heroes, but thank you for the shirt, and well done to you. Congratulations, guys. We will come to closure with one last word from Ruben Moya. A quick word, my dear Ruben, after your performance. All right, I'll come by your side. You can come close to me in front of the number 1. Well-deserved results, a well-deserved podium for you. Talk us through that race and that weekend in general, because this has been quite mayhem out there on track.
Yes, I think it has been a tough race. We deserve it the most, so I think I would like to thank my team, my family, and this one goes for my family. We have been going through bad times the last 1.5 months after our dog, 2 months old dog, died on 31 December, and our older dog was lost on Wednesday, just 1 month later. Luckily, we find him yesterday. So yes, that one go for my family. We are not so fine, so good now, and that's for them.